Hello there, everyone. So we are going to kick it off, but we're going to give it like 30 seconds so people can join us. So enjoy the music for a bit.
Yeah, listen to your lovely music, Rita.
Yeah. So glad that there is music to be integrated on this system. Restream. I love it. I love it. So I'm going to check my phone as well if we are live on LinkedIn, because that's one of the good places I can test it out.
I shall do the same.
Mm-hmm.
I'll trust you as the expert. This is my very first time, so I am in very good hands. I know you are an expert on this, Rita.
Every day, literally every day. My goodness. Let's see.
That's why I said yes to it. I knew I was in good hands.
Good. Okay. Well, we are live. We are live. So welcome everyone. Today we are going to talk about what's your audacious mission. And ALINA and me, we are going to share about ours. And we're going to simply have a conversation, the two of us, and we'll invite all of you to ask questions as they pop up. We'll get to them either now when we're live or when we're not live. We're going to still respond to you. And the plan is to go for about half an hour, maximum 45 minutes. And the first thing I want to ask is, where are you calling in from? So I'm going to ask you, ALINA, where are you dialing in from?
Well, I'm dialing in from London, Dulwich, Southeast London.
Ah, beautiful. I had the pleasure of visiting you there, and it's so beautiful. I love the park that we're hanging around in.
Indeed.
And I am, as always, I am dialing in from Stavanger, Norway. And we are getting more and more snow in the mountains. So I love that. I really enjoy that. So let's kick it off. ALINA, I would love for you to introduce yourself. Who are you?
Oh, well, thank you, Rita. First of all, thank you for playing with me today and inviting me on your LinkedIn Live. So I am ALINA Addison. I say I am an expert in audacious leadership. I play in executive coaching, and I am known for my greatest gifts, which are my courage and my belief that anything is possible.
Yeah, I know that. And I would love to know maybe a bit more about you, more on a kind of a personal level. So the audience can also get to know you more. Can you share with us a time in your life when you felt things were the most magical, fun, you felt alive?
I love that question. A moment in my life that I felt it was magical, a lot of fun. Let me think. Well, actually, what comes to mind is it's something that's happened fairly recently. So my daughter and I were in Ghana a few weeks ago on a social impact adventure. And I wrote about this in my latest newsletter on LinkedIn. But that was probably the most magical I have experienced for a long time. Just sharing a tent with her and giggling at night on an inflatable bed, whilst sort of having cold showers every day and being bitten by mosquitoes and having an outside toilet. All of that sounds counterintuitive, and yet it was probably one of the most magical experiences we've had. She can find that it was the best experience she had in her life, which was quite a statement to make. We made some impact. We took some water filters and bowls and for the school and a lot of those type of things. Yet I think it was the being together and knowing and feeling how little we actually need to be happy. Just a giggle and being held and being heard.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing how sometimes when we reverse the question of what do we want in life to ask, what do we really want to experience in life? It becomes more profound, because that's what I'm hearing you sharing, is that is the experience you had. It was even with mosquito bites, it's probably some of these things you will remember, but it was this togetherness, even though maybe a bit primitive compared to what you were used to, right? So thank you so much for sharing that. Now, the other thing I'm really curious about, and this includes the word audacity.
Mm.
What is a moment of audacity, or basically you were being bold, wild, um, have you had, and you created something extraordinary?
Oh, bold, wild. Well, I started by saying to you that I'm an expert in audacious leadership. So I have many moments of bold, audacious moments, and it's finding the one. So I did two. For example, I did 2 degrees in one. So that was quite audacious. I also sort of left the country very young to start a new life in the UK, but I set up a trading book for an institution when trading was a dirty word. But
Mm,
probably the most bold and audacious that I can recall now is taking my boss at the time, so that was more than 10 years ago, well, 15 almost, for lunch and asking for a 4-day week, which was an impossibility at the time as a head of trading and execution. He didn't say yes immediately,
mm.
but he did process it and he did say yes. So that's probably one of my boldest, audacious moments that created a shift for me from
Yeah.
there.
Isn't it interesting how the audaciousness was by claiming your own space and what's important in your life? That's a bold move.
Mm.
4 days, 4 days week, work week, like it's an audacious ask. I love that. I really love that. And I think many of our listeners maybe can relate to how we are holding back on these big asks, audacious asks for ourselves. And you just demonstrated how you did that. Okay, another question. We're going to
Okay.
talk about a leap of faith. A leap of faith, a time that required you to make a choice and to surrender. Talk about that.
A leap of faith, time to make a choice and surrender. Well, what comes to mind is, again, is the sort of moments of a big change. You sort of leap into the unknown. So you go from something that's known to something that's unknown. And
Mm,
I already mentioned that. So, leaving my country of origin, Romania, to come to the UK, 30 years ago now, that was a huge leap of faith for me.
mm,
Um, leaving Leaving my job actually was another huge leap of faith. So having been the head of
mm,
trading and execution and being almost at the top of my career and making that choice to try something else altogether. And it's interesting going back to, you made me think, the sort of outrageous asking my boss at the time, but I was very flexible. So, people asking, so yes, anybody can ask for 4 days. He didn't say yes immediately. He went totally pale, but I said, how can we make this work? It can be any day of the week. We can try it for 6 months. If it doesn't work, I'll come back. So I stayed really flexible in my request.
mm,
And it was the same. I always had, the sort of the dream to go and set something up. I didn't know what that was. And we were joking on the trading floor as such to do it, to go and set a hedging fund for women. And as appealing as that was, I ended up having set up a quasi hedging fund in the coaching industry for women, because it's with 4 women partners in the business.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that is really inspiring, and particularly also because when I'm hearing you talk about that, and I think about my work, also working with women and how you did it, and you started your own business, and you have your company, also the Adapter, that is focusing on that. I love that. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for
Thank
sharing.
you. And can I do the mirror to you? I'd love to hear your moments, the sort of the magical moment, the audacious moment, and the leap of faith from
Mm,
you.
absolutely. Okay. So, Um, if I just start off with what people are they know me for, and I
Mm,
want to reflect back on my clients. Um, everyone wants to create a change in this world, or everyone wants to change the world. My clients actually do.
mm,
That is the power of the women that I'm working with. They are action takers. What I am in that specific field is that I'm definitely a trusted advisor based on many of my own experiences. And I'm also showing up as an executive coach, helping women to break free from what is holding them back from going all in on dreaming big and litting that fire again in their belly. So that's basically kind of what I'm known for. If you look at my LinkedIn profile, and I encourage all of the listeners to read yours and mine to get them more an understanding of that. Um, but to the question of, let's say, time when I find my life to be really magical, I'm not sure if I'm gonna say it was fun. I think it was just extremely emotional. Like you, I've had many experiences. I will say though, that one of the most profound experiences, magical, was when I was contacted by a man in India, and he shared with me that his son was suffering from the same diagnosis as my son, Benjamin, Hurley syndrome. And he shared that I know there is nothing we can do, there is no medicine, there's nothing. But he felt that it was good to just be in contact with somebody who's very vocal about how I'm dealing with it. And the reason he said he didn't think there would be anything to do is that him and his family living in India, they've never treated this illness or disorder ever. So we got to meet. And the biggest miracle I got to experience was that in 7 weeks, ALINA, I was able to create a miracle. That was to put doctors together from the UK to India, fundraise for medicine. This is the second most expensive medicine in the world, and get the medicine shipped from the US to India. We managed to open the borders, no issues with the borders, and starting treatment in 7 weeks, to then later on also be able to see that he could get bone marrow transplant so that actually his disorder could change its form and he could produce his enzyme. That is the most magical moment. I fun doesn't even come in there. It's too much. It's too big. That
mm.
is the biggest experience I've ever had in my entire life. In addition, of course, to when my son Benjamin got his medicine as well. So that is that magical moment for me.
Amazing. Wow. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so moving. And I didn't know the full story, but it is really moving to, and I can see, because I know you, that power of advocacy, of moving the mountains, as I said, when you put your mind, your heart, your soul into it, how much is possible. Thank
Yeah. Yeah. It's really important to me. Um, the other question we talked about was the moment of audacity, wild bold side. Okay, I'm going to share. I find that pretty bold because that is a business related, and that is when I turned down a huge contract, the biggest contract that I had ever been offered. I'm not going to give the number, but it was big. And I was asked by the CEO to train the executive leadership team because it was a new team. And I said, I will only do that if I am also coaching you as the CEO. And he said, no, he couldn't understand why he should be coached because he knew what he was doing. And I said that I cannot coach an executive team if I do not fully understand what is in alignment with you and what is important, and you see in your own blind spots. He was not willing to do that. So I said no. So to be able to kind of stand on that, that was nerve wracking. I remember waking up the next day thinking, oh my word, Rita, what have you done? That was a hangover big time. But I've never regretted it because I know for sure that I would have resented my decision if I'm not working with the entire team, including the captain, for such an important work. So
Mm.
that I felt was really audacious.
And inspiring to, because for me, you probably know enough, is the saying no is the most difficult thing, for all sorts of reasons. So being bold and audacious to give that big no, the hell no,
Yeah,
for your hell yes, that's
yeah,
that's huge.
yeah, for sure. And the last question I asked you was about the leap of faith, and I think it's close to what you were sharing as well. For me, really true leap of faith was when I resigned from, my 20 years in international press, and and I remember I was saying I'm stepping out and up, even though I was becoming a solopreneur, and I was used to having a big brand in my back, and I was the breadwinner in the family, and I had Benjamin who was in and out of hospital all the time. I
Mm.
didn't know whether my new office space would literally be out of intensive care unit. I mean, I was really taking a big risk and a leap of faith. And today, when I go back, I'm thinking, what did I think? Well, the thing is this, that I had such a strong desire to live fully, to be on my mission, to go out there and really get, I'm not going to say this, help women get themselves out of their own way so
Mm.
the world could get access to their ideas and their big, audacious, crazy dreams, because I knew that that is going to move the needle. That is what's going to create innovation that the world need. And that was so strong in me that it was like, no matter what. And I'm so glad I didn't know all the things that could go wrong or whatever else we talk about. But I just like, no, I'm going to do this. And I did it. And that was definitely my biggest leap of faith.
To date, so far.
To date, exactly, to date. How will your clients describe you, Elena?
Ooh. My clients describe what I call the sort of three C's. So caring, committed, and challenging. I mean, that's how I also used to describe myself when I define my personal brand, from an executive, professional as an investment banker into a coach. I would probably add another, the fourth C these days, which is courageous or courage. Because when people ask me, what do you do, Alina? I say I
Yeah,
give people courage.
yeah,
So that's probably how they would describe me, in
yeah,
those four words.
yeah. Yeah, I've been thinking about the same thing for me. Um, I think sometimes my client was telling me that I'm really annoying
Mm.
because I really, if I feel BS, I call it out. And if I see someone in front of me who playing themselves small, if they're suddenly justifying decisions that they have made, and I can clearly see that you are no longer being that powerful woman with these big, audacious mission that you're on, I will call that out. And that can actually be quite annoying. But I think in addition to that, I think they do say that it is the inspiration that attracts them to me, and I'm always their partner. I will be there next to their side no matter what. And this is also a reason why I don't work with many clients at the same time. I consider it as a partnership, and I'm there in the capacity that is important to move that needle. And when we're working on these big missions, like for me, it's like working on climate change. It is about clean energy. It's about basic human needs. And the women that are working on are working to find solutions for that. It takes a lot of attention. and holding space for that. So I think that is what my client would say, is that I'm there holding space for them.
Mm.
Um, yeah.
I love that. I'm
Mm,
going to hold space for a nanosecond because I realized that
mm.
I have completely forgotten to put my light on.
Oh,
Have you? And I'm sort of suddenly becoming very self-conscious. So I'm going to take a risk. And I thought, Alina, you have not actually switched on the light. I
ooh,
get so into this. So if you allow me a nanosecond, I'm
I will.
going to do exactly that. See if that will make a difference.
And I'm going to ask whoever is listening, where are you listening in from? I would love to see that in the chat.
Is that better? I feel
Yes.
better. I feel like I see myself.
I can see you, but I could feel you.
Yeah, you can. I was sort of suddenly realizing, why is it so dark in here? And I suddenly realized because I didn't put the light on.
Oh, yeah, now I can see you.
I'm
So,
back.
Alina, I really would love for you to talk about your audacious mission. What are you currently on? What's your mission?
Ooh, but I suppose for me, it's the whole audacity concept for me
Mm,
is this idea that audacity is not just courage, which is how I used to define it. And
yeah.
a lot of people have got this negative connotation on audacity.
Mm,
Because interestingly, so I'm well, I'm saying I'm writing. I have written my book, The Audacity Spectrum, which will be out in the world next year.
mm,
And there was a lot of conflict, I suppose, when I was talking about the concept, given the negative connotation. However, for me, the audacity is not just courage, is also caring.
yeah.
So it's bringing this new dimension of being a caring leader as well as a courageous leader. That's the definition of audacious leadership. And when you care so much, and your story of that, the moment of the bold moment that you've just described, it really captures and freezes it for me. You
Yeah.
care so much about someone or something,
Mm,
then you don't care about what people think, or the fact that they think it's impossible or maybe even inappropriate in their view
yeah.
for you to just go and do these things in 7 weeks. And so that's what really is for me. As in terms of mission, well, I would love, there are sort of almost two things. One is to create this community of audacious leaders. That's one of my
Mm,
big dreams, bringing, dare to say, love in leadership. It's a big
yeah.
word, but it really is bringing more of that caring in. And of course, empathy is the acceptable word in the leadership, but it's more than that. And also have it combined with courage and see what that gives us. And yeah, it's creating leaders rather than bosses. As I said, it's just listening rather than pushing. Is embracing conflict rather than avoiding conflict, because this is
Yeah.
how innovation happens, through conflict, through, well, Tatiana, my partner, will say healthy
Yeah.
conflict, healthy intensity, all
Mm.
of that side, um, of leadership. That's my mission.
Yeah, I love that. And I remember not too long ago, Corn Ferry came out with a report which is named the CEO of 2025, or the future leadership, or the future CEOs. And the biggest distinctions that I saw from what is today to what is being is the ability of daring to daring to ask questions, daring to say that I don't have all the answers. I need you to come with me. Daring to make decisions for the greater good of the people on your staff, and from a level of kindness, not
Mhm.
always about the bottom line on finances. And we see quite a big shift now, and that's what I'm hearing is the book that you're also writing about, where you're bringing in this level of when it's a must, when it's kindness, when it's so courage is one thing. And I think sometimes I feel it's easier to be courageous than really kind.
Mm.
Um, so I really love that topic.
Yeah, because that's a boldness. I mean, it's the reckless side of being bold, and I'm not
Yeah,
saying that's easy in any way. I mean, because it's not. Being bold takes a different type of, it's courage. but
Yeah.
being bold and caring,
Mm.
it's taking it that sort of extra next level.
Yeah. How did you know w- when you were on the mission? Like, we can say a lot of things. I mean, organizations talk about missions all the time, but how did you know that this was your mission?
Wow, how did I? I'm not sure. I sort of, feeling it in my gut as I knew. One of the things that some of, your listeners, definitely some of my listeners would know, that in terms of my story that I didn't share. So my son was diagnosed with on the autism spectrum
Mm.
10 years ago, actually. He was 9, he's now 19. And really, for me,
Wow.
as the head of trading, I always say I used to be able to negotiate with almost anybody.
Mm.
The one person in the world I could not negotiate with was my own son. And that's where really was another, I suppose, leap of faith, another one where sort of for me, I took a different direction, because it's when I decided I needed to learn as much as I could about, well, the spectrum, but also positive psychology and the neuro science, the emotional intelligence, which is what I do most in the workplace these days. It's really use this tool of emotional intelligence with leaders. The
Yeah.
whole concept of that is that you could stretch that at any point in your life, certainly,
Yeah.
later in life. And Dan is definitely my biggest testimony in that sense of what's possible when you go on to this mission. So, not
Ooh.
only did he learn
Yeah.
to self-regulate himself through all of that, and achieve his own impossible dreams and amazing things, going to university when everybody said it was impossible, traveling solo to Thailand this year when everybody said was impossible. So he's doing his own impossible things, but in that process,
Yeah.
I believe I became a better parent and also
Mm.
a better leader. So, that sort of training ground at home
Yeah.
really gave me so many more tools and concepts and understanding to apply to the wider world of leadership.
Yeah. No, and that's why you're so good at what you're doing, because it's a lived experience of how we do it, not something we just learn, but you connected with emotions and feelings. I'm thinking about myself as well. Like, what is it that made me so like driven when it comes to women and their ideas? Like, why is that the must for me? And
Mm,
for me, it was really clear because, again, through similar story as you, Alina, with Benjamin, when I experienced being in the operating room with experts, world experts, doing things, surgeries on my son, very rare disorder. You can only have the top notch of the experts in this world to do this. And I was always in the operating room with them and experienced that because I was constantly fighting for my son,
mm,
I was willing to share my ideas no matter what. I didn't have the power of my gremlin who says, "Oh, you're not good enough. What are you saying? Who do you think you are?" No, that voice had no space in me when I was actually in these rooms. And I was part of creating solutions that they had never seen before. I have no medical background, I have no whatever, but I have the ability to see things from the outside
mm,
very differently. I wasn't kind of caught into a box. And this is why, the work both you do and I do as coaches is so important, because when we are coaching world leaders or entrepreneurs, whatever, we are not caught into their web of knowing. We are just these asking questions. I asked myself this question, Rita, if you, when you had no fear, could speak up and be part of finding a solution that saves lives. How many women in this world are walking around with the idea, with the solution for what I consider really important climate tech, clean energy, basic human needs, but they don't speak about them because they haven't found that match to lit it up and be brave and audacious and kind to the human society to give them the solution. That is what drove me. That is what really said, it's a must for me no matter what. I don't know where the income going to come from, but it's a must. So that is where it came from.
And you did that beautifully. Absolutely. I mean, I can see that. And I know your work is obviously, for women and with women, as opposed to I'm wider in that range. And yeah, I mean, you made me realize that one of the other things that I feel really passionate about, so I suppose it's a mission, is embracing difference, because I learned the value of difference from Dan, and
Yeah.
making a difference in that sense. And at Adapter, we're all so very different. Our
Yeah.
leadership styles are so different, and yet we collaborate in the same in the way that you described. The
Yeah.
sharing is caring.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's beautiful. I was just thinking that we have some comments here. First, let's see. Oh, hello, Sylvia, Luxembourg. We have Jeffrey from Washington, D.C. We have Anna from London, Catherine, Los Angeles. Oh, my goodness, you're up very early. I have to say, I'm so grateful for the Americans showing up early. Catherine, you're saying ending sexual trafficking of women and children. What a powerful, powerful, such important mission, right? I see that what women need is a leadership corporation that allows the ability to create a blockchain of small businesses that lead to success in accomplishing the audacious goals. Wow. Yeah. Hi, Ingrid. So cool to see you here. Helen, pleasure you could join us for so long. And again, Catherine, the sustainability movement is a great opportunity to use technology to create a global network where the outcome is the same. Autism is an excellent unifying goal. Not all children on the spectrum have mother as courageous, competent, and caring as you.
Oh, thank you, Catherine.
Ah,
Thank you.
yeah. So what are you up to now? How can people get involved in the work you're doing?
Well, thank you. Thank you for that question. I think for us, it's really through Adapter, we do the usual coaching that most people know, the bread and butter of one-to-one peer coaching, team coaching with corporations. And one of the things, I mean, we do work with some of the most successful, reputable financial institutions on the planet. So, a lot of our work is with financial institutions, but not exclusively. So we do internal leadership programs, women leadership programs, and the fun, magical stuff is sometimes outside, which is our, our Artemis program that's starting on the 9th, that Sylvia is leading. We've got our own Audacious Leaders Retreat in Transylvania every year. So we do that in May. So yeah, all on our website in terms of, and if anybody wants any more information, always happy to lead and guide.
Yeah, yeah. I'm curious though. You're four when it comes to Adapta. You're four.
Mm-hmm.
You're writing your own book
Mm-hmm.
about audacious goals. Adapta. How did that come around? Like with four women?
Oh, how much time have we got? I suppose in sort of 30
Very
seconds.
short.
Very short. I mean, it's Adapter. I sort of founded it. Well, 7 years ago, we had the celebration of 7 years in September, and I always had this vision of is going to be something much bigger than me. I didn't mean to do it with women only, and I'm not saying it will continue to be women only, because it's still, the world is still our oyster. It's just we got together. Tatiana and I have known each other for 20 years, and then Carmen came into our orbit, and it just felt right. Talking about the feelings, it just felt right. Carmen is based in Switzerland, and it was before the pandemic, and I was scratching my head and thinking, how on earth am I going to make it happen? So, I'm the CFO, the chief founding officer, making everything possible within the organization. But then the pandemic came, and then it was possible. Sylvia was part of our, beautiful 4PC community that you and I share, and just loved her energy. She's based in Luxembourg, but she came to simplify. She's the chief simplicity officer. So it was a sort of organic evolution in terms of how we ended up together.
Yeah, yeah. I find it always inspiring when we're able to collaborate and broaden our work. I get to do that with, in particular, with lean inequity and sustainability,
Mm, mm,
where Lama Vera and myself co-founded the foundation, and then it's been growing and growing, and now we're opening a new circle in Dubai. I get to be there, and I think it's just so important if we can also bring in other people in on our mission. Uh, it's just so important. I also want to ask the audience about any questions you might have. We still have about 10 minutes. Any questions that you might want to ask us about the work we do and how we got started, whatever there is. Let me just see also on the... yeah, Ingrid, you said, I want to offer work opportunities for survivors of modern slavery. Yeah, we see a lot of the compassionate work. There's so much going on. And Catherine, you're saying, love your point. I'm not sure what you're referring to there, but we must remember that across the world, being courageous will get you killed. Some places, yes, being courageous is definitely dangerous.
mm.
So I'm asking you, Aline, on that courageous fear of getting killed. What are acts of courage that can be softer, like without thinking that we are risking our lives? Because there are a lot of danger in this world.
And that's a very interesting, I know it's sort of topical, and it's interesting, Catherine, if I were you and I to have that conversation, see, my challenger in me would love to challenge you and see where, yes, being courageous, it's dangerous in places that we know where there is military conflict right now. And yet, without that courage, I think we wouldn't be able to move on. So, the risk, not risking your life, although I'm sure there's some of those people are already doing it by just being in the front lines, unfortunately. But there is a fine line. There is a fine line, and sometimes it's more courageous to maybe say nothing. It's that judgment of really deciding what courage means for every single one of us. So yeah, I always use this example of, one of my clients, for example, jumps off the planes. He just goes, and for me, that is terrifying. That takes me not into the stretching zone, as I call it, but into the panic zone, where is, one of my other clients, she can't speak up. She will jump off the plane. So there is a different calibration of what courage is for us.
Yeah.
But it's caring as well. For me, it's like caring enough about the mission or the person or whatever it is in our orbit to know and make a judgment with courage, though.
Yeah.
With courage.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you. Yeah, there are a lot of things going on, and that's why personally I feel understanding why a mission is important for you is important to us. Meaning, if we are just blindly following somebody else's thing, whether that is for work, whether that is something else, can make us lose some part of our identity, that we don't know, what am I courageous about? So, and a lot of the work that I get to do with my clients is really to reestablish where does this mission actually come from? What is the activator? Is it an act of justice? Is it an act of your personal experience in the past? Is it like, for both you, Aline, and myself, we had children that needed something, and they brought up something in us that led us to be on our missions. So in one way, it can be easier for us who have something very specific. But the work that I do is really to hone back and see, what is it that you have experienced in your life where you could say, that was a must for me. It was a must to take my family out of poverty, or it was a must for me to go to engineering school, or it was a must to become a lawyer. Regardless where you ended up, but what was that feeling of must? Like, I must go into Ghana to do things. For me, I must go into India to visit this little boy.
Yes. I wanted to acknowledge a couple of things, and I know we're probably very close to time.
Yeah,
Sylvia said courage is also self-love, doing what creates meaning and coherence for your life, which is so true.
yeah,
That act of self-love, it's very courageous, especially for women.
yeah,
And then Catherine and Nadia, I think they were sort of talking about the social
yeah,
missions for safe solutions and the need for public health government. And again, Nadia returning from Africa, women
mm,
can't speak about bad governance, corruption, or disrespect of labor law. It's so true. And I've got a client who actually, I mean, this is where you need to make a decision um, to speak up and lose her job. She knew that was going to be the ultimate prize,
yeah, yeah,
in a way. And that's, I'm not saying that's really, 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 really tough to
yeah.
do. And not everybody will be able to do it.
No, and sometimes I think that when it happens, it doesn't happen because you've made the decision to do it, to speak up, it just happened because suddenly enough is enough, and you're doing it.
Mhm.
We see that in Black Lives Matter. We see that it just happened. It's just like this is it, or not accepting to be sitting in the back of the bus. Today's the day where I'm going to sit in the front of the bus, no matter what. It's not necessarily a planned act. And I think um, when we're seeing what's going on in the world, and like Nadia, she is my colleague in leading equity and sustainability, we get to talk about these challenges in Africa.
Mm.
And then one way for us sitting on the outside, even though we can go in and we can see what's happening in the area, the we don't really know what's going on there. That's why they know what to do, and we are here to encourage and hold space for those who are ready to do it. Um, okay, wow, these minutes are going so fast. I want to say thank you to everyone that has been joining us. Um, Very briefly, what are you doing with Gambia? Ghana? What is the mission that you're on Ghana?
In Ghana, it's actually it's
Ghana.
interesting. In Ghana, so it's not my mission.
Hmm.
It's that I've joined someone else's mission, which is what I love to do. I just love to join people who are doing incredible things in the world. And that was, one of our clients, actually, Genevieve. She set up her own social platform called Elevate, and she is really homegrown, as I call it. That she came and did the Inspiring Women. She came to our Audacious Leaders retreats twice now, and she always said that was the seed when really she had this grand, amazing idea. But she is. It's Ghana is one of the places, Kenya, Colombia. So it's again, she's got 8 different projects
Hmm.
around the world where she's trying to make a difference with other people. Gathering people who are willing to give their time, more so, of course, their money, but creating difference from within,
Yeah.
from inside, where we'll go and set up these projects, and then they will allow them to just grow themselves.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And I think the experience that we have that when we are getting involved in other people's mission makes it so much more inspiring when we're also talking to our clients about the power of being involved in missions. That is part of other people's mission, that it expands the horizon, makes us feel alive, and we get to do and create um, things in the world that is so much bigger because we are also engaged in other people's mission. I think that is it's just so important.
I
Yeah.
love that. And my secret mission, actually, I
Mm.
didn't say my secret mission is that we would create, and I say we, it's not
Yeah.
just me, this retreat village in Transylvania, where, I've got the hotel, which will bring leaders to really expand their emotional, spiritual leadership. So that's my secret mission,
Yeah.
secret dream.
Yeah. So my mission,
Yours, yeah.
I think my mission is clear, but and it's been the same all the time. It is really to help women to believe in their idea so powerfully and take inspired action no matter what.
Mm.
I believe that. So a lot of, we have universities that is working on, it's the technology that is going to save the challenging problems in this world. And I say that I believe that there is a 50% of population in the world that have access to thinking and mindsets and ideas that we have not accessed yet,
Mm.
that before our technology can even get there, we need to get access to your brains. And don't be scared. Don't hold back when you have an idea. Find a community where you can share it openly and be supported in the idea, where the question is yes, and not that, oh, but, or whatever, but yes, and how can we do it? Yes. And how can we look at it from a different perspective? Find your tribe. And look at ALINA. She has her tribe, right? And with the organization, I have mine with sustainability, and we also have lean and equity and sustainability. There are places where you can, in a safe manner, because this is what I see is very important for women, and in particular women also in developing countries. We need safe space where we can really embrace and really talk about these audacious missions and get the support from others and do it no matter what.
Mm.
So for anyone who wants to connect with us, DM ALINA, just ask any questions, DM me. I know you have a program coming up in January as well.
Yes, it's the Artemis one, but absolutely happy to, as I said, and you and I together building the communities of audacious,
Absolutely.
courageous
Absolutely.
people.
All right. With that, thank you everyone that is on this call. I see that there are comments coming in. Definitely going to have a look at that. Thank you, Catherine, for your feedback. This is an excellent session. Women leaders who are starting to see the lack of opportunity in other women. Yeah, we need to support each other so we open up opportunities for each other, and coming from a place of both kindness and audaciousness, having our missions. Thanks, Sylvia.
And thank you, Rita. Thank you. Thank you for your audacious mission in the world and for having me.
Thank you. All right. For the rest of you, I'll go live every day. So you're going to see me tomorrow. I don't know what they're going to talk about, but it's going to pop up. Okay.
Thank you
Bye for
for having me.
now.
Bye.